Hey Gear Seekers, I'm Nick. It's finally time for us to do our beginner's guide for Streamlabs OBS, and I've been promising this video for the longest time, and yeah, we're doing it today. Now just take into account, this is not a definitive guide on how to set this up and get it working. This is to show you the basics, and there's a few ways that I'm going to be doing this. So I'm going to show you how to do it with the included templates to give you an idea of the workflow and how it works, and we're going to show you how to do it with a blank template, which is basically nothing. And then I'm going to show you the different ways to stream your games, and yeah, it's a very, very rudimentary and basic guide. It does go for quite a long time. There will be time codes to jump between sections of the video. I've put little cards on the video as well, so you can like scrub through if there's something that you don't know how to do that we actually do in the video. So yeah, you don't have to watch the whole thing, but yeah, we did kind of try and attack everything in a really basic way for most people to get a grasp of how it all works. Now, it's like I mentioned, it's definitely not a definitive guide, but it will help if you've never done this before. Cool, I guess we better start doing it. Let's go. As I mentioned, there's time codes in the description, and I'll pin the top comment as well so you can see all the different sections in the video. So I'm going to stop talking and we're going to jump right into it right now. All right, ladies and gents, let's kick off this beginner's setup guide for Streamlabs OBS. Now, the reason why I recommend Streamlabs OBS for a new streamer who doesn't quite understand how regular old OBS works is it actually gives you a bunch of templates and layouts you can use and modify to see how all of the ins and outs of this whole thing works. So yeah, it's a really quick way to get up and running if you're just starting out and you want to try it out. So the first thing you want to do is head over to streamlabs.com. I'll actually put a link in the description as well to get this downloader, and just download Streamlabs. I've already downloaded this, but we're going to download it again. It should only take a few seconds depending on your internet connection speed, maybe a little bit longer. Now I'm just rambling because that's what I like to do. Once you've got it downloaded, run the installer, click I agree, install. Wait for Streamlabs OBS to install. Should only take a minute or so to install, depending on how fast your computer is. No one can really say, can they? Anyway, let's just wait for it to do the things that you don't know what it's doing. Click Run Streamlabs OBS and finish, obviously. And with any luck, it's going to remember all of your chatters' names, and we have a fresh install of Streamlabs OBS. So there's a few options that you're seeing here. I'm actually going to skip this step for now, just to show you how to actually get it up and running. So you can actually automatically sign in with Twitch, YouTube, Mixer, Facebook, and DLive and Nemo TV. Now, the reason why you would want to select one of these is if you're actually going to install Streamlabs OBS on another computer, it would automatically download all of your assets from the cloud, and you don't actually need to set up all your scenes again. So that's another bonus with using Streamlabs OBS. It's actually one of the features that we use the most. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to skip this step right now. We'll come back to this, and you can either import from OBS, which you probably won't be doing if you're watching this video, or starting fresh. So we're just going to start fresh, and it'll detect a webcam if you have one plugged in. I have a couple capture devices plugged into this machine. I've got an HD60S Elgato for when I was playing some Final Fantasy VII Remake on Discord the other night. What we're going to do is select the webcam so you can see my really ugly face and the setup that we're using to actually record this video. And you can actually set up your default microphone as well. So, I mean, I've got a lot of stuff plugged into this computer. This is actually my gaming PC, and this is like, you're actually in my office with me right now as I do this. But we're just going to select the Yeti Nano because that's what I'm using to do the voiceover for this, because it's the easiest way to do it, and select that and click continue. And your microphone setup might be different. Remember, you might actually be using the headset microphone or the boom arm microphone if you're just beginning, because remember, this guide is just for beginners. It's not like the be all and end all definitive guide. It's just to get you up and running if this is something you want to do. Yeah. Anyway, hit continue. And this is where the magic of Streamlabs OBS comes in. You can actually go ahead and select a bunch of different themes here. They have like a whole store on the Streamlabs website, and just to give you a bit of a background on how all of this works as well, Streamlabs wasn't originally making their own version of OBS. They were literally just like a bunch of stream elements. They decided to roll their own version of OBS because it is open source. And what they've done is they've integrated all of the services on their website with their OBS client. So let's just select one just to give you a bit of a breakdown on how all of this works. Let's just click the Nexus one. I guess that looks techie, right? Anyway. And what you're seeing here is the regular layout for Streamlabs OBS. So if you were to build out your project, it probably would look a little something like this, but let's just show you what everything is so you can get an idea of what it all does. So on your left here is the scenes that you have. And if I click that, you'll see that it has my face. I'll just disable this little alert box. We'll come back to that so we can have a look. So basically, this is the whole layout. This is the one that you'd probably use if you're streaming a game. I'm going to show you how to get a game running with this, and then we're going to build out a setup on its own from scratch, just a really basic one so you can understand why we do it this way. There's a bunch of be right back screens and ending soon, offline. I mean, you get the idea. You've most likely watched the stream at this point. But let's just quickly show you how you would to edit something that comes with these one of these templates. So starting soon, you can literally just right click the element down here any minute now and click properties, and you can then just go ahead and edit the text. So what starting soon? This is something that I would do, farting soon. So we'll change it to that so you can get an idea. And you can actually see that each of the layers stacks on top of each other. So if you've ever used something like Photoshop, you would probably understand how this works. If not, basically what happens is each layer has a priority. It sounds complicated, but it's really not. I'll literally give you an example. So if I was to move starting soon underneath the background card, you'd see that it would literally be underneath, and you can move it back on top. You can turn layers on and off with the little eye on the side here. Yeah, it's very, very, very straightforward. Okay, let's go back to the live scene and show you how that scene actually works. Now, this is quite a complex scene, but it's okay. We're going to make your life really easy. So basically, we'll break this down for you. So you've got the header, which is this element here. You can group them. I'll show you how to do that. Yeah, this is just a bunch of the labels that you're seeing. It's all like super cosmetic, basically. So the labels are these labels underneath here. And the webcam, which has got my not very well lit face in it, which is okay because I wasn't actually expecting to put my face in this video at all. But you know, here we are. This is what happens, right? Okay, be right back, and all the other cards are basically the same. So yeah, that's the basic understanding of how the sources and the scene panel works. Now, you probably would have noticed there is also a mixer panel. Now, this is to do with all of your inputs and stuff with your machine. Now, there is a few things I would recommend doing before streaming, and that is just testing all of the audio levels. Most of the time out of the box, it's going to be pretty on point if you're just starting out with streaming, but it would be good to tune game audio and that kind of stuff. But what I'm going to show you how to do now is we're going to go back to the start, and we're going to get rid of all of this, and we're going to start fresh, and we're going to show you how to build one out from scratch. Okay, let's say this is another fresh Streamlabs OBS install, which it is. I actually cleared out all of the app data and all that stuff so we could do this again from scratch. So you'd be presented with this screen again when you were launching it for the first time, but now let's go and set up a whole project from scratch. And now this is going to be super basic, and then I'm going to walk through a bunch of the encoder settings that you can actually modify as well. So I'm going to skip this again. I'm not going to log into any of the platforms, not right now. I will show you how that all works as well. Click skip. And obviously we're going to be starting a fresh project. I will be selecting my ugly head again on camera. Hi guys, it's me. I'm Nick with Gear Seekers. You're peeking and I'm seeking. Anyway, let's select the Yeti Nano as the default microphone again. And we will hit continue. You can actually skip all of this and set this up like on your own as well. So don't freak out if you think you missed anything, because you can go back and do this. So yeah, let's just click continue. And this time we're not going to select the theme at all. We're just going to click skip. And we are back here with the scenes and all of the stuff that I explained a little bit earlier. So I'm not going to make like 100 scenes or whatever for each different thing. I'm just going to make a default scene. So yeah, because this will most likely be people's like starter setup when they go and stream. Anyway, rightio. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually create a new source. Now, this is basically how all of the elements in your stream will work. The first thing I'm going to do is, you know what? I'm going to do the camera. Let's set up the webcam first. Now, this is an optional step, I know, because you might not have a webcam, but we're going to do that first, just so you can see how this works. So, video capture device, and now this will talk about all of the different types of capture cards, what you can use, webcams, blah, blah, blah. I'm pretty sure you'd understand what most of those things are right now. Click Add Source. We'll just call this the default name, video capture device. You can name this if you were to build out more complex projects, and you can rename them later. So don't stress about that right now. So let's click Add Source, and obviously you can see my head right now. So we're going to just use this webcam. I have other capture hardware connected to this PC as well, but I'll just click this for now to make your life a little bit easier. Click Done. And then you'll see my head in the top left-hand corner. You can actually then grab this element and move it around your scene. And yeah, Bob's your uncle. Now, before we continue, I'm going to sidetrack a little bit. And I'm going to show you something that you might actually want to set up as well, as to not confuse yourself as to why things aren't lining up properly. So this is a beginner step, but also an advanced step at the same time. This is something you want to be aware of. So what you want to do is go ahead and click the settings gear in the bottom left-hand corner. And what we're going to go and do is set up the canvas size, because this is very important for when you're going to stream. And I'm going to explain why we need to do this. Now, what we're going to do is click on the video settings. Now, the canvas resolution on this PC is 2560 by 1440. You can set this to 1080p or whatnot. It doesn't really matter. Usually what you would do is set it to your native resolution on your PC. So most people who are streaming will set this as 1080p or 4K or whatever resolution you're running at. But the important thing is to actually look at your output resolution. Now for Twitch, I recommend 720p, either 30 or 60 frames per second. I'm going to set ours to 60 because we have an affiliated Twitch account, and the reason why you want to use 720p is quite simple. When you start out with streaming on Twitch, they will not transcode your footage. So rather, they won't transcode your incoming stream to their servers, because yeah, that's just what you need to do to earn a Twitch affiliation. So I would recommend 720, 30 or 60. And yeah, so we'll come back to all the encoding settings and stuff after, but yeah, make sure you just keep in mind what this canvas resolution is. I'm going to stick with 1440p here because that's what size monitor I'm on. I didn't mean to sidetrack too much, but I just thought I'd explain that to you guys. Rightio. All right, next thing we want to do is, let's say you wanted to play some Minecraft RTX. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a game source. Now, this can be done a few ways. I'm going to show you both ways to do this. Well, both of the recommended ways. You can pick one or the other. It's completely up to you. What you want to do is click, let me go back. Let's click the little plus to add a new source. I'm trying not to rush. I usually do this with my eyes closed. So yeah, I want to make it easy for you guys. When you add the source, you'll see your list of sources here. You'll click Game Capture. And what you're actually seeing here is exactly the same way to do it in regular old OBS. And click Add Source. We're not going to change the name here. We're just going to leave it as is. Click Add Source. And there are a few modes you can have set for this now. So you can have the auto mode, which will automatically detect any game executable that's launched. You can capture any full screen application. You can capture a specific window, and this will do it by the actual file name. Or you can capture foreground window with a hotkey. I probably wouldn't recommend that. It's a bit too complicated for some people. We'll set it to auto and see if it works with Minecraft RTX. And as I mentioned before, there is priorities in which layer this is on. So you'll notice that the camera is now hidden, but if I drag the game capture underneath, there is my ugly mug again. Okay, let's see if this works. So what we're going to do is we're going to launch Minecraft RTX, and we'll see what happens, right? We'll see if Streamlabs OBS actually picks up on Minecraft RTX. And it hasn't, which is good. Actually, a very good thing. So I've got Minecraft RTX running on another screen. What we're going to do is we're going to change the capture mode to look for an executable, which is probably the way that you'd want to do it. Okay, we'll right-click Game Capture, select Properties, and we're going to change the mode to Capture Specific Window. So, you'll see the window option drop down, and you'll see a bunch of executables running on your system. This one here is Minecraft, so we're going to click that, and we're going to click Dunzo. Alrighty, well, I've decided to show you guys another way of doing this in case it doesn't work. Now, if game capture doesn't work, which does sometimes happen, I have noticed this with Jackbox games when we've streamed it in the past. Actually forgot that some of the the Microsoft Store applications actually give us a black screen when we want to add them in OBS, but there is a way around it, which I'm going to show you quickly, and then I'm going to show you another game that's not Minecraft RTX that will actually work. So what we're going to do is add the display capture. This is really straightforward. You just add a source, hit display capture, hit add source, and then it'll add like any other type of source that we've gone through, but you just select a different monitor. So we're going to select display 2 that we've got attached to this, click done, and yay, look, Minecraft RTX. And obviously what we're going to do is rearrange it and put it on the layer below. And yeah, we have Minecraft RTX running. Obviously this is like not optimized. I'm only doing this on a single machine, so the frame rate's going to be completely garbage, but you can get an idea of how this works. So this is Minecraft, completely ray traced. We'll just fly through just to give you guys a bit of an idea. I'm looking at it on a monitor to my right hand side, just so you can see how this all works. Look at that. Work hard. Oh yeah. Right, so you guys get the idea. This is Minecraft RTX. Okay, let's show you how to add a game that won't freak out with with OBS and Streamlabs OBS. So what you want to do is add a new source. We're going to go game capture, and hopefully this is going to work without any problems. Click add source, and in auto mode, it will automatically pick up PC Building Simulator. I just thought this would be a nice little one to test out. Click Dunzo. And we can move that layer underneath the video capture layer. And here we go, PC Building Simulator. And let's just see what we got here. Look, bunch of headphones and all of this stuff. You guys know how PC Building Simulator works, right? You just build PCs. You can do all of the things. Look, it's a test bench. Put the test bench there. Put the test bench there. Now there's one other way I'm going to show you how to do, let's call it game capture. It's basically if you already have a console and you've purchased something like an Elgato HD6CS, and like I said, this is a complete beginner's tutorial on how to do this. I'm going to show you how to get your PS4 or your Xbox or whatnot to stream with your PC using a capture card. This is very, very basic. I'm not going to dive into this too much. What you want to do is add a source, and what we're going to do is add another video capture device. Click add source, and it's actually going to say, hey, look, I've already found one of you here. We actually need to add a new source. So you want to click this little tick box down the bottom, and we're going to call this one PS4 Pro, because that's what we're using here. Click add source, and now it's going to ask you which device you want to go ahead and capture. And because I know my PS4 Pro is connected to my Elgato Game Capture HD, I click that, click Dunzo, and with some luck, we'll get a PS4 Pro. Look, there we go. And we'll just quickly resize that, and We'll rearrange it, so we'll put the PS4 Pro underneath the webcam, and look at that, we have PS4 Pro ready to stream. And as you can see here, we're playing some Final Fantasy VII Remake. I don't want to get into this too much, and this, ladies and gents, is how you would stream your console, and in this case, the PS4 Pro, and yeah, it looks pretty good, right? Oh, we're in War Market right now. This is Chapter 9 on Final Fantasy VII Remake. I'm not going to spoil anything for you, but you will see Cloud is dressed up as a woman, and if you've played the original, this is a scene out of the original game as well. They did very, very well with this game. This is my second playthrough of this game so far. Let's go back into the settings gear in the bottom left-hand corner. We're going to run through a bunch more of the settings that I kind of touched on before. So let's take a quick look. Now, you can actually set up your streaming key with Twitch here if you wanted to do it that way. I don't recommend doing it that way because it doesn't allow you to set up some integrations a little bit later. The output, now this is completely up to you. It also depends on your PC's hardware. The audio bitrate, 160 kilobits is fine, it's no problem. The video bitrate, you can play around with a bit here. If you get affiliated on Twitch, I would probably recommend putting it up to around 6,000, but to start out with, I would say 3,000 just for a little bit better quality. Although when you log into Twitch, it will actually tweak your settings for you. The encoder is very based on your system. I don't want to dive too much into this, but I'll give you a quick rundown of what this all means. So the X264 software encoder uses your CPU. So if you've got a lot of cores and a lot of high frequency cores, this is probably going to be the way to go. But if you don't have a lot of cores to spare, you do have other options. And one of those other options is using QuickSync. Now, if you've got an Intel CPU, like this machine that I'm doing all this video on, you will have this option enabled if you do enable the integrated GPU in your BIOS. That's a whole nother topic for a whole nother video. But basically what you want to do is select QuickSync, and it will use the integrated GPU in your CPU to do all of the encoding in hardware. So this is a 9900 KS, so it does have an integrated GPU, so I could use that option. Now there are quite a few other options you can use depending on your GPU as well. You can select the NVENC or the NVIDIA encoder. This first one that doesn't have new next to it is for a Pascal card and lower. It also depends on whether or not your card does support it, or you can use the new encoder. So this is for the Turing based cards, and there are some advanced options we'll quickly run through, but I'm not going to dive too much into this. It'll basically tell you what does what. So the higher, the more CPU usage or GPU usage or whatnot, and you can go through and select that. And because I have a 2080 Super in this machine, I can actually then select the NVENC new. But personally, I will use QuickSync if I was to stream on this machine. There are other few things you can tweak if you're getting some issues with your audio, which is, it can happen, and you always see people streaming for the first time and they're like, oh, can you guys hear me? And all that kind of stuff. You know how it is. I've done it hundreds of times too. You can just play around with all of your audio settings and whatnot. Okay. Video we've already covered. We covered the base canvas resolution. This you can do some research into if you want to get a bit better canvas size and resolution and all the other jazz that goes along with that. I'll leave that up to you. That you can research on your own. I might do a more advanced version of this for people who are interested, but yeah, this guide is basically just for people who are wanting to just see how it works. You can set up hotkeys to start and stop your stream. If you have a Stream Deck, you won't need any of this because you could basically do that in the Stream Deck, but you can set up a hotkey or whatnot to start and stop your stream. Actually, I know a few people that use foot pedals for this kind of stuff too, which is quite cool. There is a bunch of stuff that might not make a lot of sense to you, but it's all about color space and all this. Most of the time you won't need to actually go into any of this. I'm just basically showing you all of this because, yeah, there is a way to enable an in-game overlay for this experimental feature. I wouldn't recommend using this because it can trigger some anti-cheat stuff. So if you're playing competitive gaming, probably not the best option. You can export and import overlays and all that stuff. You can set notifications and all of this stuff. This is all standard OBS stuff. There's also face masks that you can do too. We're not going to be covering that. You might be asking yourself, why choose Streamlabs OBS over regular OBS? And here is the key difference here. I'm going to show you why I personally like using it over regular OBS. So I'll sign in with my Twitch account and go through all of the rigmarole of getting your two-factor stuff set up. Click Start Fresh, okay? All right, Start Fresh. Now this is something that you're probably not expecting. Start Fresh. I'm going to set our webcam again as the regular basic webcam I've got plugged in. Click the Yeti Nano as the microphone again. Click Continue. And we're just going to click Start. Now what this will do is it'll go through and test all of your computer hardware and your internet connection to give you the most optimized settings. Now, this is the way that I would actually go ahead and start using the program. The other stuff I showed you was to give you an idea of how all the elements work, but this is what really makes this version of OBS, I would say, the best. So click Start. It's like, hey, we're performing some tests on all of your hardware and all this stuff to see what the best settings are going to be, and then we'll check out what it actually did after. You can set up multi-streaming. Now, this is if you wanted to stream on like YouTube and Facebook and stuff at the same time. We're not going to do this. We're going to click Skip, and we are all set up and ready to go. And it looks like the last time I signed into Twitch, it actually overrode all of our layouts and stuff, which is fine. I can rebuild all that stuff. It's not a problem at all. But basically, it will log in. It'll give you a feed of all of your latest like actions and stuff. We haven't streamed for quite a while, which is why you're seeing like our last main stuff over a year ago, because the last time I streamed was on my birthday in 2019, because we've been in the middle of just doing all of this stuff. But basically this will show you all of your activity. So what actually makes it different to just using regular OBS? Well, you've got all the integrations with Streamlabs itself. So I'll show you how this works by adding a new source. You can actually add all of the elements straight in here as a source. You don't have to pull any URLs or anything out to do it. So let's just do alert box, and this will basically just show you all the animations and stuff in stream, and then I'll show you how this actually works. So you can turn on the alert box for all of the different types of alerts. You can hit test, so I'll just show you. Let's go, someone donates or something like that, right? Donate. Guys, thumbs up. So we've got all this set up, and it's got like on the Streamlabs site, which we're not going to cover in this video because it just goes way into depth, and there's a lot of stuff you can do on there. And if you just go over there, you can see how it all works. It's really straightforward. But yeah, you can add this as an element. Done. And as you can see, it is an alert. So basically the way this works is if it's not doing anything, it just sits like somewhere on your screen, and if an alert does come through, it then will show up on here. Okay, now let's just quickly test this to show you how it works. I've got Streamlabs open up on my other screen. I don't want to share any of that information with you guys because it's pretty straightforward, but they have a whole panel where you can test it. So I'm just going to click the test follow button, and as you can see, that's it. Pretty straightforward stuff, right? I have no idea what the sounds are actually for this at all. It's probably yeah, that's basically the scratching the surface of a beginner's guide to an OBS setup guide. Now, I know it's probably not the most in-depth guide, and that's kind of by design, is to give you a basic idea of how this all works. Now, like I mentioned before, let's take a look at the automatic settings with logging into Twitch to see what it actually changed with the actual overall settings and whatnot. Okay, so we click the settings gear in the bottom left. We click the video settings, so it changed our canvas size to 1080p and 60 frames per second, which is no problem. Output, it changed it to the new NVIDIA encoder anyway, and it bumped up the bitrate to 6,000 kilobit. Now, the reason why I did that is because we've got an affiliated Twitch account, and when you actually have one, it'll detect that you have one when it runs the wizard, and then away you go. And that's it. And that's basically most of what it will change. As I mentioned right at the start of this video, this isn't supposed to be the most in-depth guide of how to set up Streamlabs OBS. This is to give you a basic understanding of basically how it works. I didn't want to spend too much time diving in depth. If you do want to see that, let me know. I do know quite a lot about OBS and Streamlabs OBS, so I can go more in depth, but I feel like making this video kind of dips your toes in and gives you an understanding of the basics of how it all works. And you can expand on all of the themes and stuff. And I guess that's probably the recommended way to go when you start with this. You know, just dip in, play around, see what works for you. And when you're all done, click go live. Well, I hope this little bit of a beginner's guide helped you understand how Streamlabs OBS works. I hope it helped you explain why it is actually a good solution for someone who's wanting to start out with streaming. And yeah, I hope you learned something from this video. And if you didn't, I'm sorry. If you already knew all this stuff, I'm also really sorry too. But yeah, I felt like it's just something we needed to do. We do get lots of questions about streaming stuff. We did a streaming video back in 2018 where I kind of touched on a few things as well, where I talked about XSplit. And yeah, it's time for some OBS stuff. Well, Streamlabs OBS. But I hope you did enjoy it. Hope it helped you out somewhat. And if you liked the video, please like and subscribe. If you learned something, let us know what you learned about. I'm quite curious to hear what actually helped you. And if you didn't like the video, you know what to do, and dislike it and all that stuff. If you want to support the channel, you can hit the join button. We've got Patreon. We're on Floatplane for early access as well, and all that other stuff. Cool. I'm the Gear Seekers, you peek. We seek. And like I mentioned in the intro of the video, it's not a definitive guide. It's literally just to help you guys get started if you want to start streaming. And I did actually include how to stream with a console as well. So I thought that might be interesting, so I included it anyway. Anyway, guys, thank you so very much, and I'll catch you later. Bye.